Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my new video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about a few things, and especially this article here. So there's a Buffalo shooter in Buffalo near New York where he shot 10 people and it was a racially motivated attack. And you can see from this article, he had a symbol, an Azov symbol on his chest, the same Azov symbol that a lot of Azovs have on their chests as well. And this guy he's obviously learned a lot about the Azov's Nazism, racism, and he's went around shooting all of these people. So this is not going to be reported on the West. They're just going to say this guy's a psycho and he was racially motivated, but they're not going to mention anything about the Azov symbol, what the Azovs signify, and the fact that they are Nazis. They're not going to mention any of that, and I've not seen any Western paper, not even one British paper, which has picked up on this. And I live in UK, and I have a regular bus route that I go to go to work, and I normally take that every single day. So I sat at the front of the bus, and I noticed a Nazi symbol for the first time in this local bus, and in my area. I've just noticed a Nazi symbol. And I know there's a lot of Ukrainians who have actually come to my area. It's not just women and children, by the way. It's also men as well. Not saying that, women and children are harmless as well. Because if you have basically a wife of an Azov militant and a child of an Azov militant, the child would be taught the Nazi way and the Azov militants' ways as well, basically the Nazism. So this kid would have been taught from a young age by his father, even by his mother, and he would grow up, he'd go to school, and he'd be racist, he'd have these Nazi principles in his head. So he would still be a danger to society. And there's a lot of Ukrainian men, Ukrainian women, and also young kids as well who kind of have this Nazi mentality in their heads as well. And people that think they're harmless, they're not. Look at this kid who shot 10 people in Buffalo. He looks like a young kid. He looks about 17, 18 years old. And a lot of kids are coming to UK. They're not small children. These are 13, 14, 15, and they've probably been taught by their mothers and fathers about Nazism, and these kids will soon turn into 16 and soon turn into 17, and then watch what they do. Watch what they do once they get to that age. And Britain is welcoming them with open arms as well. They're not doing any security checks, by the way. No security checks whatsoever. Let me show you this. See, Ukrainians are being rushed into UK with hardly any security checks. So the danger is, you have all of these Azov militants, Nazis wives, Nazis kids hanging around UK. And these kids are going to be going to school, and in school other kids are easily influenced by kids as well. So he's going to go into school, he's going to be like a hero. He's going to say, yeah, my dad's an Azov militant, he's holed up in Mariupol, he's fighting all of these Russians, and all of these other kids are going to be like, whoa, tell us more. And he'll be like, yeah, Azov militants are heroes. Do you guys want to be an Azov militant as well? There's all these other kids will be like, yeah, I want to be an Azov. What do I need to do? Come with me and I'll teach you. You know what I mean? It's very, very easy to influence kids nowadays. And, so that's why having these Nazi kids in schools is even more of a danger than having adults, Nazis walking around the streets. The kids are more easily influenced. And then you'll have kids like young as this going around shooting people in a couple of years. People don't see this, and this is why the Western narrative will not tell you these kind of stories. So I saw this article today, and basically this stupid minister of a woman, she was in Sky News, and somebody interviewed her, and she says, what are you going to do about the cost of living crisis? And basically she's saying that people struggling with bills should work more hours or move to a better paid job. That's her answer to how to fix the cost of living crisis. I mean, this idiots like that in the UK Parliament as a minister. This is why this country is going down. Nobody in the UK Parliament has got a clue. Nobody in the UK Parliament has got a clue about what's going on, and they haven't got a clue of how to deal with it. You got Rishi Sunak, who's the Chancellor, who's got no clue what to do. He's hiding behind his wife, and he's not doing anything about the cost of living crisis. Anytime you ask him, it's like, oh, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do. But as long as my wife avoids paying taxes, I'm happy. You know, this guy has got, 8 or 10 properties. He's got a swimming pool. His wife's a billionaire. His wife's company is still in Russia, by the way. Infosys is still operating in Russia, still making profit. She's not paying any tax on her on the profit that the company makes. She's a non-domicile, and people that know a lot about UK, you will realize that UK has been a safe haven for millionaires and billionaires. It's very, very easy for a millionaire and billionaire to come here, avoid paying any tax, launder your money. It's so easy to do it. This is the easiest country to launder money, and it's a safe haven for a lot of Russian billionaires and millionaires over the years. And that's why London was actually called Londongrad, because there was a huge influx of Russian millionaires and billionaires, oligarchs coming in, and they were laundering their money in London, and Britain allowed it. Britain allowed it because they thought, basically if these people come in to UK, they will basically spend their money in UK, help the economy. But the only oligarch who's actually been doing anything is Roman Abramovich, who bought Chelsea, and he's been doing a lot for Chelsea, and especially Fulham and the areas around the football club as well. He's been doing a lot, so he's been putting back a lot of stuff back into the economy. And guess what Britain does? They sanction him, and they sanction all of these other oligarchs as well, and they pretty much take all of their assets and kick him out of UK. So that's what they've done. However, there's still a lot of other millionaires and billionaires from other parts of the world who are very corrupt and are in London, and they are laundering their money, they are buying properties, and it's easy. If you're a billionaire or a millionaire, it's easy to be a non-domicile. I think you have to pay a one-off fee of about £30,000 or something, and that's it. You don't have to pay any tax. If your business is in an offshore bank account, that's it. No tax needed. You can just access it whenever you want. So what they've done is they've closed some loopholes for Russians. But what about for all of the other people that are having tax havens, like Rishi Sunak's wife or anything like that? They're not going to do anything like that. So the whole point is these ministers in the parliament, they just haven't got a clue. They're absolutely brainless. You can see all of these idiotic actions they are taking against Russia. They're banning Russians from Wimbledon. And you can see Boris focusing on Ukraine rather than his own country. You got ministers accessing porn and looking at porn while they should be working. And then you got Rishi Sunak, who's useless. You got Priti Patel, who's a dodgy, useless woman as well. And every single person in the parliament, every single minister is corrupt in one way or another. And it's absolutely disgusting, absolutely disgusting. And it's so embarrassing to be British. And you see these people at work and you see what they say. And you think, oh my God, who the hell has voted for these people? How the hell did they get in power? It's like you can be the stupidest person in the world and you'll end up being a prime minister or a minister running the country. It's an absolute joke. It's an absolute joke. Then I saw this article, Europe looks to Israel for natural gas. So first of all, Israel, there is no way Israel can replace natural gas for Russia. You're talking about a mouse compared to an elephant here. And they are looking to Israel for natural gas apparently. So that's one thing. The second thing is most of Israel's gas and oil is not even theirs. It's basically the Palestinians, and they're just stealing their natural resources. And Israel can do whatever it wants to Palestinians. You know, they control Palestine, West Bank, and Gaza Strip, and they control it like an apartheid state. And you know, they control what goes in, what goes out, how much food they can have, how much energy they can have, you know, how much water they can have. They control all of these people, you know, and it's completely like apartheid. And now they're stealing all their oil, they're stealing all their gas, and they're selling it to the Europeans. And it's absolutely sick how this goes on, you know, and people are such hypocrites in the West. You know, they just don't see it. And recently, Israel has shot a reporter, a female reporter, and again, the West doesn't even mention it in any of their papers. You look at the British papers, nobody's mentioning it. Nobody's saying anything about it. You know, Israel can do no wrong, apparently to the West. They can do whatever the hell they want. And when Russia goes into Ukraine for its own security concerns, security needs, then the whole West goes crazy. But Israel got free pass to do whatever the hell it wants. And I just don't think it's fair. So you got this article as well. China's leader Xi Jinping suffering from brain aneurysm. I mean, come on. Where do these reporters get these stories from? I mean, do they not have any checks in place? I mean, you have the same thing happening for Putin as well. They're saying that Putin has got blood cancer, and now they're saying Xi Jinping has got brain aneurysm. And it's absolutely disgusting how these reporters can get away with it. You know, nowadays journalism is dead. The only real journalist I ever rated was Assange, and now he's languishing in jail and soon to be extradited to USA. So it's absolutely disgusting how most of these journalists, they call themselves journalists, but reporting all of these fake news and with no checks whatsoever, with no verification, and they're just coming up with loads of bullshit, and I'm just absolutely sick of it. Finally, I'm going to talk about the crap that is the Eurovision Song Contest, and I briefly spoke about it in my previous video. And what I didn't mention is, I didn't even know this to be honest, but Russia had already been cancelled from the Eurovision Song Contest, so they weren't even allowed to participate. And the song itself, I didn't even hear it to be honest. I probably heard the first 5 seconds of it and I immediately switched off. The song pretty much can be sung by anyone. I can sing a song and I'm a really, really bad singer. I would have won it if I was representing Ukraine. A really bad cat would have sung the song and still won the Eurovision Song Contest. And it's absolutely ridiculous because it's all just politics. And now today I'm hearing that not only did Ukraine won because of all of these sympathy votes, and even Piers Morgan from the UK has said, you know, Ukraine had won with sympathy votes. But I'm hearing today that they cheated as well. Apparently, Romania was supposed to give 12 points to Moldova, and there was some sort of technical issue, and they basically overrided Romanians' votes and given them to Ukrainian. So they were supposed to give 12 points to Moldova, but instead those 12 points ended up going to Ukraine, and other things as well. You saw all of this kind of stuff. Jury results of 6 countries removed after voting irregularities. So you can see how the West reports voting irregularities, but anybody else would call it cheating. You know, it's cheating, and they're calling it voting irregularities. It's not voting irregularities, mate. It's cheating. And you can see how they're trying to twist the words and saying, "Oh, Ukraine is the best ever," and then not only that, they won the song. They started being all political about it. They're saying, "Oh yeah, we stand with Ukraine. We stand with all of these Azov fighters in the steelworks, Mariupol, blah blah blah." And then Zelensky started coming in and saying next year the Eurovision Song Contest is going to be at Mariupol. Well, Mariupol's already gone, mate. You know, Russia's not going to give it back. So next year you're saying it's going to be held in Russia. and Russia's already been banned from Eurovision Song Contest, and I just think it's absolute joke. I mean, the song contest obviously is probably rigged, and hardly anyone votes in the Eurovision Song Contest. To be honest, I don't know any British person that actually watches it, let alone votes in it. And it's probably just rigged, absolutely rigged. And they decided that Ukraine should win it this year, and they did everything possible to make sure that happens. And all of these people celebrating like Ukraine has won the World Cup or something, it goes back to that privileged thing that all Ukrainians around the world are privileged. You can come into UK, live in a free property, eat their food, empty their fridge, go out in the streets. You can go to Greg's, ask for free food. You're basically privileged. Nobody can say no to you. And this is what's happening. The Ukrainians are treated with so much privilege. They're walking around like they're royalty nowadays in UK. I'm Ukrainian. You need to give me this for free. Blah blah blah. It's absolutely sickening. And and all of the bad news, things like Azov Stals, things like that Buffalo guy shooting 10 people. None of that is reported on the West. None of it. I want to wait for the day when, a few years later, when real journalists look back and think, oh, hang on a second, there was a period where we actually supported Nazis and we supported these Azov guys. I think letting in all of these Azovs, their wives, their kids, all of them into Europe is a huge, huge mistake. Because this is the worst time you can let them in. And do you know why? Because look at the economy and look how people are suffering all over Europe. And things are just going to get worse and worse. And if you remember how Nazism, was raised in Germany back in the day, and it was because people were sick of the system, people were suffering. And after the World War One, Germany had to pay huge amounts of debts to the rest of the world, and they were pretty much bankrupt, and the people were suffering in Germany. People had enough, and this gave rise to the birth of Nazism. And the same thing is happening now. And you look around Europe, people can't afford food, people can't afford to heat their homes, people, are suffering, or people are turning into poverty. And when people turn into poverty, they look at these ideologies like Nazism and things like that to fight back against the government. And and then you have all of these Azov militants and their wives and the kids. They're going to be teaching all of these youngsters who are also sick about it, sick about the world, sick about the government. And it's just going to give rise to more Nazism around Europe and other parts of the world as well. And this is the worst time you can actually send these Ukrainians to Europe. And there's this article as well. Flood of weapons to Ukraine raises fear of arms smuggling. And you can see this was done by the Washington Post. And I don't know if any of you have seen the film The Lord of War. It's in Netflix at the moment. It's a very good film, and it's basically about a Ukrainian arms dealer. And this guy in Ukraine, he lives in Odessa. And after the Soviet Union collapsed, Ukraine had loads of Soviet weapons. So this guy basically ended up selling a lot of the weapons and became a billionaire because of it. And the same thing is happening now. Ukraine is flooded with weapons, Western weapons. And you have all of these arms smugglers and arms dealers. And nowadays you have the black market. And one of the things that Lord of War did not have, it did not have the dark web, or did not have the black market. Now you can go to the dark web and just sell it online. It's not a big deal. And people are probably buying all of these weapons. You probably have jihadis and terrorists, and you have all of these ISIS people buying up all of these shoulder weapons, javelins, those anti-tanks, anti-helicopter missiles. They must be laughing. They think, yes, we got all of these amazing weapons to hit back to the US, and And so you have ISIS that are going to be heavily armed with all of these dangerous weapons, and terrorists as well. And this is just going to cause more terrorism around the world. And I guarantee you, you know, the US has pretty much lost the ball. They think that they have won the war against terrorism. They think, oh, we can leave the Middle East. We've won the war against terror. We can leave the Middle East. Let's now focus on Russia. Let's focus on China. I guarantee you, you know, these ISIS guys or these terrorists will do another terrorist attack somewhere around the world, or even in American soil, or even in British soil. And the Americans are going to be like, oh crap, you know, terrorism has reared its ugly head again. We haven't finished the war on terror yet. And all it takes is one major terrorism attack, and the focus will be back on the Middle East again. And the Americans will be like, oh shit, you know, all right, let's hold fire on Ukraine, let's hold fire on China, let's hold fire on Russia, let's go and sort these terrorists out again. And that's when they'll need help from the rest of the world again, because yeah, we're fighting terror again, we need your help, you know. And you know, terrorism still exists around the world. You still have huge amounts of ISIS fighters. You have suicide bombers. It's still happening in Afghanistan. It's still happening in Iraq. Still happening in Pakistan, and it's happening in Syria. So it's still happening around the world, and you can see how America had treated Middle East, the way it's treated Afghanistan, the way it's treated Iraq. It has not made any friends in the Middle East. So you can imagine a new generation of these young kids growing up in the Middle East who's probably seen the Americans blow up their houses, blow up their families. So these kids will be growing up with a lot of anger. And once they're grown up to an age where they can fight back and they'll get hold of these weapons, I'm pretty sure they will start doing stuff, not just to America, but to the Western world as well. So the people that think that the war on terror is finished, you know, you basically got another thing coming. You really don't know what you're talking about. You know, it still exists, it's still around the world, and in fact, a lot of these youngsters are going to be much, much more dangerous than the current generation. They'll be more tech savvy. They'll have a lot more anger, because they've seen their homes get destroyed, their families get destroyed, probably got their fathers or mothers got destroyed with American bombs. They're going to grow up very, very angry. And then you got the Middle East, Israel situation is not really sorted out yet. You know, you still got Israel's, the way they're treating the Palestinians. So there's a lot of anger still in the Middle East, you know, towards the West. And that anger is not going to disappear until they resolve the Palestinian issue, until they resolve a lot of the issues around the Middle East. And that stuff has not been resolved yet. And it's just going to rear its ugly head again very soon. Anyway, that's all I have time for today. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the next video.